Welcome to the week between January 10th through January 16th, 2022. So we have a lot of things going on this week. We have a lot of events happening astrologically. We have the Sun trine Neptune, Mars square Neptune, Sun conjunct in the sign of Pluto. Excuse me. Sun conjunct the planet of Pluto. So you can obviously guess that this is going to bring about a lot of intensity, a lot of powerful emotions, and really powerful putting yourself out there into the world. So, not only that, but Mercury, which is the planet of communication and mental processing. It rules our technology and systems of communication. Turns retrograde, goes backwards, goes back over. And this is happening in the sign of Aquarius. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to read to you this site which talks about Mercury Retrograde and what it's going to be about, because there is just so much stuff happening with this. So, it says that Mercury Retrograde is... So let's first look at Mercury Retrograde. What is it? Well, it says here that it is generally associated with communication and technology breakdowns, nervous anxiety, travel delays, and lost items. Mercury retrograde, January 2022, is an even riskier time for communication, travel, and business dealings because it is conjunct Saturn and square Uranus. So, this is not necessarily the best time to just go into really any just travel on a trip necessarily, go into any new job, start this new project, do this new thing, unless you do it with caution and you do it with care and you check all the little finer details and you make sure that everything is order. Make sure that you've got your things here, that you've got your things organized and everything like that. It's not that you can't do things. It's not that you can't sign a business contract because, I don't want to be Captain Obvious at all when I talk. And hopefully you do not perceive me as Captain Obvious when I make these videos. Hopefully you're sitting watching this video going, oh, that's the way that he talks about astrology. So what if you go into a business deal, you have to get into this business and apply for this job, and the boss tells you, oh, you have to sign this contract by the 27th of January, 2022. And Mercury does not turn direct until February 3rd. Well, are you seriously going to turn down a business opportunity just because Mercury is going in backward motion? No. You will probably, based off of your own decision, based off of it, looking very, very carefully at that. You can say, there's no law that says if you sign on, you have to stay on. No. Sign on, do it with caution. If you don't want to, then, you do what feels right for you. And if the business and if the person, after Mercury goes direct, let's just say February 3rd onwards, if it's not how you expected the business to be, if you're unhappy, if you're unsatisfied, if you're not getting paid the salary that whatever it may be, then there are ways to get out of it. There are ways to get out of it. And, life is about just living and learning. So don't use Mercury retrograde as an excuse. Don't go to a job and say, "Oh, Mercury is retrograde. I cannot, take this position because," I don't think the person would respond to you really just understanding, would be like, "Okay." And believe you me, I am saying that in a matter-of-fact way. But yeah, regardless, don't catastrophize. I think that's the word. Just because Mercury goes in retrograde motion. So Mercury retrograde in Aquarius ruled by Uranus, sudden change, radical change, being an individual, looking at revolution. It looks at really doing things outside the box and really doing things that have not been done before, creating things. Aquarius looks at the technologies that we have created. There may be a breakdown, and we may be going back over, reflecting over, like, is this really what we want? Is this really right? Is this really good? Is this really helping people, serving people? Is this healthy for people? These types of things. So, Mercury retrograde. So, Mercury retrogrades occur 3 times per year, usually. So, they occur in either fire, earth, air, or water signs. So, they occur in these let's say in 2018. In 2018, 2019, 2020, I'm not pizza building. But so, 2018, Mercury turned retrograde in the fire signs. So, whatever planet goes retrograde, that's, we're reflecting on based also off of the sign that it is in. We're not talking about the fire signs right now. But sometimes during a Mercury retrograde, Mercury, so when I was born, Mercury was in Taurus. That's maybe why I'm affecting my communication style. And I was noticing, I put in April 13th of the year that I was born, which was only 6 days later. Wait, let me see. 7 days later from the day that I was born. So I was noticing Mercury in Aries, and I was like, what? No. Mercury has to be in Taurus or it moved to Gemini. That does not, well, it can happen because it can cut into the last sign and over the last degrees of the sign. So I believe that maybe after I was born, during, a little bit after, oh no, it doesn't say so on my chart. But Mercury must have gone retrograde after I was born. So that's why I saw Mercury in Aries. And I bring that up especially because Mercury begins its retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius, moving on to Capricorn. So again, we can really get practical, get focused on what we want and how we're going to attain it, what we need and how we're going to get it. So, Mercury is only retrograde 19% of the time, it says. Mercury goes direct, retrograde, and direct again over the same degrees, or the retrograde zone. The two direct phases are called the shadow periods. So, it says, retrograding Mercury brings communication and technology breakdowns, nervous anxiety, travel delays, and lost items. So before you go on a trip, check to see if everything is in order. You have everything that you need. Calm your mind down. I think that meditating or just anything to calm your mind, listen to music, whatever it is, may not be just an instance, just how calm you keep your mind, because Mercury goes backwards. It's huge. It just shake things up and things fly around. And it's kind of crazy, ungrounded energy. I was watching, and it can be unstable. It can be unstable energy. I was watching Deborah Silverman. Whenever Mercury goes retrograde, a ball flies past the video. Like things are going backwards. Yes, I think that's funny and neat. And yes, it goes backwards. Things fly around. So, yeah. So, Saturn aspect to Mercury in retrograde. You can also expect to dwell on the past, it says, reminisce about it, maybe unexpectedly meet up with someone from your past. While the Mercury retrograde period might be good for flicking through the old photo albums, I recall, last year, this may have just been coincidence, but last year, in February, I was making videos which I talked about narratives of an experience I had, which I'm not going to get into, when I was in 5th grade. So I was looking back at that. And that was, I have such good memory of dates. February 12th. I think Friday the 12th of February of 2021. And then that weekend, I was looking back. So, might be good for flicking through photo albums. It's generally considered more of a nuisance than a benefit. So, Mercury in retrograde motion can play havoc with your thoughts, communications, travels, and electronic devices. Take extra care of your words. Don't react too quickly. Think before you speak. Think before you do something. Think before you just jump into something. Really look at it. Examine it over. And, just really, make good decisions. Try not to react too quickly in any arguments if provoked. So watch your words. So take some care. Take time out for yourself if you may feel overwhelmed because of all the dynamics that are happening. That will probably happen. So Double check all your emails. Double check all of your emails and posts on Facebook before hitting the send button. Business negotiations will be in a state of flux, so avoid signing contracts. Some important details will not be. Now, I want to stop right here. So, I probably said this before. I believe I did. It's not that you can't sign the contract. It's just being cautious and going into it with real caution. And, maybe you may feel positive about it. And, whoop-de-doo, Mercury goes direct. And if the job does not turn out how you expected it, whatever happens, whatever goes on, then, I tried that. I lived, I learned, I did what everyone else would do. Because how many people do you think wait until Mercury goes direct? For the love of you-know-who. That, no. I mean, you can't live your life that way. So, yes, you can sign business contracts. However, proceed with caution. Look carefully. Really think about what you're signing up for before you do so. And by all means, if you, let's just say, I can't vouch for everyone. Let's just say that you get into a job and this person says, oh yeah, you don't have to sign this until 5th of February, let's say. Oh yeah, great, I'll wait. But then again, if it's another way around, then yeah. So, it'll also be difficult, I was reading this, to trust people. People might be unreliable or irresponsible during this time. You might misunderstand what people are trying to do or say, so be aware of that. So, it's not the best time for really making important decisions, negotiating with people, delays in communication and transport. Okay. So, getting into, I'm not necessarily reading through the whole thing. I'm kind of skipping around. So, December 29th to January 14th is the first shadow phase from Mercury entering the retrograde zone until Mercury stations retrograde 24 of Capricorn, 10 of Aquarius. January 14th to February 3rd is the actual retrograde. This phase lasts from Mercury stationing retrograde until the Mercury stationing direct 10 Aquarius to 24 degrees of Capricorn. This is off of Astro King. Then February 3rd to 24th is the integration phase, as I say. So the second shadow phase lasts from Mercury stationing direct until Mercury leaves the retrograde period. So, new ideas and thinking, communication, transport may arise, but don't act on them. So, Mercury stations retrograde Friday, 1/14/2022 in Aquarius. Mercury is also conjunct Saturn and square the planet Uranus. So this plays a strong influence on Mercury square Uranus. So yada 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 yada. So Saturn square Uranus, this aspect has been going on for 2021 and I believe a little bit of 2020. And Saturn square Uranus is all about freedom, being your own inner authority, going out of the box, really liberating yourself with your life. And Saturn is about the known. What I know, I'm sticking to. What I know, I'm following. This is what has been done over years and years. And I'm gonna stick to that. And Uranus is like, no. It just really shifts things. It really changes things in your life. Uranus and Taurus is what's most important to you. What are your core values? Such as how we're taking care of the earth, how we are earning our money, how we're getting our food, the food that we're putting into our bodies, those types of things involved with Uranus and Taurus. This is breaking up, but there's still energies of this around. So Mercury conjunct Saturn. Let's just start out with that. So it brings on critical thinking, concentration, patience. Mercury in Capricorn is really, really about really getting serious, really thinking about the important, practical things in life, judging those things, being patient, moving one step at a time. Mercury retrograde is also square Uranus. So, with Saturn square Uranus, restriction versus freedom, we may feel restrictions in our thoughts and in our thinking. And so that's why it says open up and, really, do things so that you can stay mentally healthy during this time period. And even if you're not, you are, because your thoughts are just your thoughts in your mind, and so yeah. So there could be some negative thinking, there could be pessimism, narrow-mindedness, difficulty communicating, and travel delays. We've already looked at that. Rebellion against authority figures. Harsh or critical words can lead to isolation, rejection. So Mercury conjunct, square Uranus changes up your life, basically. Your daily routines. So it's being flexible with things, being open to changing your plans. This could cause some stress and anxiety and all this. But when Mercury goes retrograde, it can be difficult to focus. It can be difficult to really, really put your mind to a certain task. And think before just going right in. So, blurting out something offensive, become distracted, have an accident, not listen properly, miss important details, rush decisions, and change your mind. So, yeah. Again. So Uranus, whether we want it or not, brings change. So there's another thing that I wanted to talk about with this. and that is there's an asteroid. So I just want to read about this. Asteroid Icarus is conjunct Mercury Retrograde. 10 degrees 20 minutes of it in Aquarius. So Icarus is a character from Greek mythology. His dad made wings from beeswax and feathers so they could escape the labyrinth they were imprisoned in. His dad warned him to take the middle way, travel between the extremes, and take the course I showed you. So, if you can imagine the spectrum, between the Democrats and then the left versus the right, the liberal versus the conservative. Everything is so polarized. What if we can come together? Find the middle ground. So not too much of this, not too much of that. Adrenaline and curiosity drove Icarus toward the sun, melting the beeswax. The wings fell off, fell into the seas, and drowned. So he got too close to the sun. So this asteroid is very impulsive, really wants freedom, escaping difficult situations. If there's a bad situation in which Icarus cannot handle, cannot stay in, cannot continue to remain in, it'll just leave. It'll find a way to get out of it. Low tolerance to restrictions, a lack of self-control, once free of the restriction. It gives a tendency to ignore both your own better judgment and others' advice. The lesson is that risk-taking can lead to just negativity. Yeah. So Mercury, as I said, goes direct Thursday, February 3rd. Mercury, Pluto, sextile the Moon, and Neptune. So Mercury, Moon sextiling Neptune. It says this is the strongest aspect affecting Mercury direct. It is like the polar opposite of Mercury retrograde square Uranus because it is such a calming and a relaxing influence. You won't think about what to say because your mind is in tune with your feelings. You can quickly form emotional connections because of your enhanced skills and intuitive understanding. So your moon is your emotions, and your mind is, your thinking, processing. So socializing, meeting new people, dating. So then it also says, again, I'm kind of skipping around here. So natal Mercury retrograde suggests that there may have been a problem with how you thought and